William Saroyan Festival, KNXT Channel 49 proudly presents the fifth and final program in our April series, The Armenian Heritage. So far in our series, we've met William Saroyan, we've enjoyed folk tales and dances of Armenia. What about the historical background of our Armenian friends and neighbors? Where did they come from? Today, the Republic of Armenia is part of the Soviet Union, located within the Caucasus Mountain region in Western Asia, bounded by Turkey to the west, to the east and south by Azerbaijan, and also on the south by Iran. Just over the Turkish border, near the Armenian capital city of Yerevan, is the biblical mountain Mount Ararat, focus of the Armenian culture and faith. You know, long ago, the Armenians occupied the large plateau of Asia Minor, bounded by the Black Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Caspian Sea. Well, what's happened during their 2,500 years of recorded history to reduce Armenia to a small nation and eventually a Soviet republic? What have the Armenians been through? Why were there large migrations of Armenians to the United States in the early 1900s? What has helped them survive? Well, we're going to provide some answers today as we view Story of a Nation, Birth and Rebirth.
Hi there, I'm Reverend Vartkis Kasuni. Let's start out by getting acquainted. Do you know any of these people? They live in your community. They are your friends and neighbors. Did you ever visit their places of business, drive by their churches, view their art, or read their books? I'm speaking about the many Armenians who live in our community. We Armenians are proud to be Americans, and we are also proud of who we are, where we've come from, and what we believe in as a people. Today there are about 20,000 Armenians in the San Joaquin Valley. Armenians first came to this valley in the 1880s, but the great majority came after the year 1915, when we were forced to leave our homeland. Every year on April 24, we observe what happened to our people on and after April 24, 1915. First, a tragic chapter in our history which nearly wiped out our nation. And second, the rebirth and victory that grew out of our suffering. This is a story of courage, faith, and love of freedom. And today, we share this story with you. Did you ever stop to think what a beautiful valley we live in? When we drive along the highways, we can see row upon row of grapevines and other fruit crops. And as we drive toward the east, we come closer to the beautiful Sierra Mountains, which rise above the flat ranch lands. Here is a view of a faraway valley and mountain that have a special meaning for the Armenian people. For the past thousands of years, Armenians have lived in this valley and have grown crops such as we do, and looked to this mountain for inspiration and courage. This is Mount Ararat, famous for the biblical story of Noah and the ark. This mountain symbolizes the pride of Armenians all over the world in the nation they once had and the freedom it once represented. Let us now go back in time and history so that we can understand more about our Armenian friends and neighbors and how our nation got started. Today, Armenia is one of the Soviet republics and is located in southeastern Europe, north of Turkey, and between the Caspian and the Black Seas. thousands of years ago, tribes of people from southern Europe crossed over into Asia Minor and mingled with the tribes that already lived there. 700 years before Christ, a prince named Armen organized these tribes and formed the Armenian nation. In time, this nation became powerful and took in all the land between the Black Sea to the north and the Mediterranean Sea to the south, all the way to the Holy Land. Much of this land is now controlled by Turkey. In their early history, Armenians worshipped fire and mythological gods in temples such as this. Later, in the 1st century, 2 disciples of Christ carried Christianity into Armenia, and it began to spread among the people. A powerful leader and head of the church was Gregory, the Illuminator. His influence was so great that in the year 301 AD, he baptized King Dertad, who then declared Armenia to be a Christian nation. Thus, Armenia became the first nation of the world to become Christian. This event was very significant because it shaped the history, culture, and ideals of the Armenian people for generations to come. This event also generated hatred and conflict on the part of neighboring nations that were non-Christian and led to constant persecution in war. St. Gregory built a beautiful cathedral which has been rebuilt over the centuries and is still in use today. In later centuries, other churches were constructed, most of which are in ruins today. Notice the interesting dome. And notice also the walls with stone carvings. Early church leaders recognized the need to help the people keep their identity, preserve their faith, and be able to read the Bible in their own language. In the 5th century, 2 leaders of the church, Sahag and Mesrob, invented an alphabet to make this possible. This alphabet opened up a wonderful age of literature. Not only was the Bible translated, but original works on mathematics, science, astronomy, and geography were written down in the Armenian language. Here are some very old examples of an Armenian Bible written in the Armenian alphabet. This manuscript was hand-lettered almost 500 years ago, and you can see the vivid paintings that illustrate the scrolls. This printed Bible is nearly 200 years old. Notice it has illustrations also. As time passed, more and more conflicts developed between Armenia and its non-Christian neighbors. Shortly after the alphabet was invented, the Persians overcame the Armenians in an effort to wipe out their religion. In the year 451 AD, the Armenians fought back under Vartan the Great, but were forced to retreat into the hills of Mount Ararat and other mountains. The church became a fortress as well as a place of worship. But churches were built in places that were hard to get to. Behind this particular church is a hidden church carved out of the rocks. When people were under attack, they could go through a secret passage into the hidden church and hide until the enemy departed. You are looking up into the dome of the hidden church and can see the sky through it. The opening let in air and light. Leaders hid in caves nearby to carry on their work and teaching. You can see the entrance to one of these caves. Following the Arab invasion, other nations overran Armenia. But the Armenian people continued to fight for their ideals and independence, and their spirit was never broken. From time to time, the people rallied to overthrow their enemies. A legendary hero who fought the Arabs was David of Sassoon, who has been immortalized by many artists and writers. In the 12th century, armies from England, France, Spain, and Italy banded together to free the Holy Land from the Arabs. These wars were called the Crusades, and they lasted for 200 years. Armenians living in the southern portion of their country came to the aid of the Crusaders. Their cooperation led to the final downfall of the last Armenian kingdom. From here on, Armenians were dominated by Arab, Mongol, Tartar, Persian, Turkish, and Russian powers. As a result, Armenians began to leave their homeland and go into other parts of the world. To the east, they went to Persia, India, and the Far East. To the west, they spread through Europe and established centers of culture in Moscow, in Vienna, in Venice, and in Constantinople. And in the south, they centered in Beirut and in Jerusalem. These centers helped all Armenian people maintain and develop their spiritual, cultural, and political life. Those who remained in Armenia came under Turkish rule as a minority group. Because the Armenians began to grow in number, in strength, and leadership, the Turkish government started to deprive them of their rights, their liberty, and eventually their lives. Then came the year 1915. Two terrible things started in that year: World War I and the massacre of the Armenians living in the Ottoman Turkish Empire. Telegrams such as this were sent by the Minister of War to all commanding officers. This one reads as follows: In view of recent circumstances, the imperial government has issued an order for the extermination of the whole Armenian race. On April 24, 1915, some 1,500 Armenian leaders, including priests and ministers, lawyers, doctors, and government officials, were arrested and murdered. Then a general plan to eliminate the rest of the Armenians was put into effect. Over 1.5 million Armenians, men, women, and children, were either killed or forcibly marched to deserts to die. About 1/4 of the Armenian people survived, but suffered hunger, separation from families, and exile. The grief of the people is symbolized by the sorrowful figures in this painting. In the background, Mount Ararat represents the homeland and all it stood for. But this was not the end. The Armenian people cried out for help, and help came from friends and sympathizers all over the world. Missionaries and churches from America, England, France, Switzerland, and Denmark came to the rescue. Concerned citizens in America sent millions of dollars into the Middle East to provide food, clothing, and shelter for Armenian refugees and orphans. Out of the death of a nation came a rebirth. And this rebirth happened in two places, in the homeland and in other parts of the world. Those who stayed in Armenia fought for an independent country and succeeded to establish it for a short space of 2 years, from 1918 to 1920. Then a new Turkish government nearly wiped it out. But the Soviet-Russian government intervened, stopped the Turks, and took over. The country of Armenia was then divided up between the Soviet Union and Turkey. Today, the land that bears the name Armenia is one of the Soviet republics and a very small part of what originally was a great country. Yerevan, the capital of Armenia, is now a beautiful, modern city of nearly 1 million population. It is noted for manufacturing, its university, its opera house, and art centers. Across from the railroad station in the heart of the city is the statue of the legendary David of Sassoon, reminding Armenians of their proud history and ideals. While a portion of the people remained in the homeland, most Armenians spread throughout the world. Many came to America and to the San Joaquin Valley. We have many among us whose parents and grandparents got a new start in the Fresno area. Here is a man who can share with us some of his own experiences in this regard, the Honorable Judge Robert Mardikian, Fresno Municipal Court.
When my mother and father came to the United States about 44 years ago from France and Turkey, they didn't know the language, had very little education, and had no special skills or training. My mother went to high school, finally graduated after learning how to read and write. My father worked to support the family. They were both very proud on the day they were able to become United States citizens. They knew and understood and appreciated the value of an education and saw to it that my sister and I, after we completed high school, went on to college. My sister became a school teacher eventually, and I went into law, practicing law in the Fresno area for about 16 years before I began to serve as a municipal court judge here in Fresno. I'm a first-generation American, but my story really isn't that unusual or that different from thousands of other persons in the Fresno area whose parents came to this country under similar circumstances. Whether you are of Armenian, German, Italian, Mexican, Oriental, or any other ethnic or nationality background, be proud of your ancestors and of your background, and do your best to get a good education. Take advantage of the opportunities given to you. It will help ensure a successful future for yourself.
Armenians today are very active in our valley. Due to the hard work of our parents and grandparents, we have become doctors, lawyers, teachers, businessmen, ranchers, writers, and artists. Stores, shops, factories, and hotels operated by Armenians serve the public. The life of the people still centers in the Christian church, and there are a number in Fresno of different denominations. In our Fresno community, young people and adults alike enjoy keeping their traditions alive through the arts, music, and the dance. Courthouse Park is the powerful statue of David of Sassoon by the artist Varaz Samuelian of Fresno, which symbolizes courage and love of freedom for all people. A well-known Fresno author, William Saroyan, has given us stories about the Armenian people in this valley that are enjoyed by people of all ages. The Human Comedy, My Name is Aram, and many others. In this short time, I have shared with you the story of a nation and a people, the Armenians. We have survived events that were tragic and disastrous because the human spirit can be victorious. Our story says to a troubled world, don't give up what you believe in. Keep the faith. This message is proclaimed by monuments to people around the world. In Fresno, in Los Angeles, in Yerevan, and in Lebanon. Our people are a living monument. Our children in schools throughout the world claim the future. And watching over us still, in silent beauty, is Mount Ararat, the symbol of our birth and rebirth.
A lot in that videotape about the courage and faith of Armenians over the centuries, as well as their contributions to our valley communities today. Now I would like you to meet our very special guest, Ben Amirkhanian, chairman of the 1991 William Saroyan Festival. Ben, it's been a real special privilege to air those wonderful Armenian heritage videotapes in cooperation with the festival. But tell me, where do we go from here? What are the key festival events for May and for June?
Okay. Marvin, May 1st through 5th, we're having the play, The Beautiful People, a play written by William Saroyan at the Fresno City College Auditorium. Wednesday, May 1st, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 8 p.m., and then on Sunday at 2 o'clock. The charge to get in is $6 for general admission and $4 for seniors and students. Please come to see The Beautiful People by William Saroyan.
Then what do we have, Ben?
Well, on Saturday, May 4th, we're having the historical walk through Old Armenian Town. We're going to see where William Saroyan was born, the monument in the courthouse park, and other things. Show up at the William Saroyan Theater at 11 o'clock in the morning, at 8:30 in the morning, and we leave at 9 o'clock on the walk. It'll take about an hour and a half, and the charge to go on the walk is $2.
Great.
Then on Monday, May 20th, we have a program over the radio. It's called Homage to Saroyan, and Ed Markman in Berkeley is reading these stories by Saroyan, and we get the simulcast here in Fresno over 88.1 FM. Listen in from Monday at 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock in the morning on KFCF 88.1 FM.
Good.
Then on Wednesday, May 22nd, a big event's happening. We're going to have the first day of issue of the William Saroyan stamp, and we meet in front of the William Saroyan Theater at 11 o'clock in the morning, and we'll hear some speakers, and we'll get samples of stamps, both Russian and United States postage stamps at this thing.
Now, Ben, what happens there is both in the United States and Russia are both issuing a William Saroyan stamp at the same time, right?
Yeah, they're issuing that one stamp in Yerevan, Armenia, and here in Fresno. Nowhere else in the world will we get these stamps until the following day. They're printing about 160 million of them here.
Wow, that sounds
and we'll
exciting.
be able to get them.
Well, that's great. Then what do we have happening, Ben?
Okay, on Monday, June 3rd, we're having the band concert at Woodward Park. Show up at Woodward Park at 6:30. We're going to start out with Peter Dorian and his ensemble playing Armenian music, and we're going to have fun there for a half hour with that. And then the Fresno band takes over, and we're going to have the band music. And then during the intermission, we're going to give the prizes to the story writing contest, to the students that won their in the story writing contest. So that ought to be a nice evening.
Well, that sounds absolutely tremendous. And we want to encourage all of our viewers to make sure that you participate in honor of all of the Armenians worldwide and those here in our community. So join in these various activities that Ben has been telling us about for the 1991 William Saroyan Festival.
Իմ հայրենը շատ մաքուր չէ, բայց պիտի ասեմ։ Շնորհակալ ենք ձեր ունգընտրություն համար. Thank you for listening.
This concludes our series. Remember that the Armenian Heritage videotapes featured in our series can be checked out of the Fresno County Library. Teachers throughout the Fresno City and county schools can book the tapes through their instructional media centers for classroom viewing and learning.